Well, every week is a new adventure. And as we find our way from week to week, we become better and better at what we do. Thank you, Linda. I'd love to hear what you played, but we didn't get the audio about Beyond the Room, but I know you did a great job. Hi, I'm Fred Wooden. I'm the interim minister of this congregation. And it's another beautiful day in the neighborhood, no matter which way you put it. However, we're in many neighborhoods. I'm in Michigan, and right outside, it's very cloudy and wet. We had a downpour earlier this morning. You're in Arizona, where it is not quite that cool just yet, but the heat of summer is fading. October, everywhere in the Northern Hemisphere, has a freshness to it. Welcome in whatever way it arrives. So the question is, what's fresh in you? Or as the Quakers sometimes put it, how is it with thy soul? What is fresh in your world, your spiritual world? What is present to you in new ways, the ways of October? And as you think on that through this hour, I'd like Barbara Face to gather us into one neighborhood by lighting our chalice.
Good morning. My name is Barbara Face, and I'm honored to be the lay presence in the pulpit today. Please join me in reciting our chalice lighting greeting. Okay, now you can join me. We kindle this flame, symbol of our faith, for the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of love, which calls us to work for justice.
Good morning. My name is Haley Wynn, and I'm the Faith Formation Assistant at Valley Unitarian Universalist. If you have children in your household today, please bring them in front of your device for our Time for All Ages. This week's Pastoral Care Associate is Melissa Bush. You may reach them via email at pastoralcare@vuu.org. To send a private Zoom chat, please click on their name in the message window, but please remember that chat is restricted during prayer and meditation and the sermon. So please feel free to post and chat your joys and concerns before or after those parts of the service. In regards to the announcements, if you're interested in participating in a cottage meeting, there are several upcoming dates, including Thursday, October 14th, Saturday, October 16th, and Sunday, October 17th. You may check the happenings to register for the meeting and for more information. Additionally, if you and your child plan on attending in person, starting October 17th, please check the happenings for a link to register your children for the Faith Formation program. There's also a Beyond Categorical Thinking workshop that will be taking place on October 9th. Once again, please check the happenings for more information. All other meetings and happenings in the community are also in the Happenings newsletter. For today's Time for All Ages, I would like to give a special thank you to Willa Cree for donating this book. May we all find the rhythm to change.
Change Sings, a children's anthem. Words by Amanda Gorman, pictures by Lauren Long. I can hear change humming in its loudest, proudest song. I don't fear change coming, and so I sing along. I scream with the skies of red and blue streamers. I dream with the cries of tried and true dreamers. I'm a chant that rises and rings. There is hope where my change sings. Though some don't understand it, those windmills of mysteries, I sing with all the planet and its hills of histories. I hum with 100 hearts, each of us lifting a hand. I use my strengths and my smarts to take a knee to make a stand. I'm bright as the light each day brings. There is love where my change sings. I show others tolerance, though it might take some courage. I don't make a taller fence, but fight to build a better bridge. I talk not only of distances from where and how we came. I also walk our differences to show we are the same. I'm a movement that roars and springs. There's a wave where my change sings. Change sings where? There, inside of me, because I am the change that I want to see. As I grow, it grows like seeds. I am just what the world needs. I'm the voice where freedom rings. You're the love your bright heart brings. We're the wave starting to spring, for we are the change we sing. We're what the world is becoming, and we know it won't be long. We all hear change strumming. Won't you sing along?
Good morning. Welcome. I'm Katie Seifert, the Director of Music Ministries, and we're going to sing together this morning. Our separate fires all coming together, online and in person, to kindle one flame. Let's join in singing Gather the Spirit. If you are home on Zoom, feel free to sing as comfortably as fit. And if you are here in person with us, we do ask that you hum along.
Separate fires will kindle one flame.
Hello again, and welcome to Valley Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're grateful for your presence, whether you are here in person or in the little spirit version of yourself that appears as the thumbnail version, or if you're viewing on YouTube. So many options these days. It's so cool to be in the sanctuary, and it seems we're a step closer to our new normal. I admit that over the course of the COVID safety distancing sacrifice, I had the notion that normal would return like the Big Bang, boom! And one day we'd be in lockdown, and the next we'd be vaccinated and back to our usual self. Well, was I wrong, eh? It has given me pause to wonder about the Big Bang itself. Maybe instead of a kapow, it was just gradual, with steps forward and then snap backward, forward, backward, blah, 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 until there was a new thing experiencing its own growing pains. I think this is like that. Gradual new normal aside, we're glad you're here to worship with us today, and we welcome you respecting your age and able-bodiedness, your spiritual beliefs or religious background, your family, economic status, or political affiliation. We respect your way of loving and believe us when we say you are welcome here. Everyone is welcome in this community, so wherever you are on your life's journey, we welcome you to this sacred space of love and community. We offer a special welcome to anyone who is new to us and curious about Unitarian Universalism or our congregation and has chosen to join us this morning. We're pleased you're here, and we encourage you to stay after our service for a chat, and it would be during our breakout time after the service. In our pulpit today is our interim minister, the Reverend Dr. Fred Wooden, and the title of his sermon is Reach Out and Touch Someone, on the challenges of being virtual and actual. When I first read this title, I was reminded of the 1989 rock song, Personal Jesus, by the British group Depeche Mode. Do you remember? Anybody remember? Yeah, cool. It begins with those lonesome two notes, followed by an irresistible guitar riff and stomping beat, and then lyrics that penetrate. Here's the opening chorus. I wish I could sing it for you, but alas, I'm not our Jillian Kong Seibert. It goes like this: reach out, touch faith, your own personal Jesus, someone to hear your prayers, someone who cares, your own personal Jesus. Feeling unknown and you're all alone, flesh and bone by the telephone. Lift up the receiver, I'll make you a believer. Reach out, touch faith. So many ways to interpret the lyrics, but for me, it's all about connection. And in the song, the connection happens via telephone. These days, we have the choice of video chatting, which is my personal, usual favorite. I rarely speak with friends and family using voice only these days. But there's something about the simplicity of a voice without the visual that's mysterious and precious. I had such a conversation with one of my brothers recently. He sent me a text that was too involved for a text response. So I called him, and unlikely as it was, he actually answered the phone. I meant to simply answer his question, but then suddenly we went deep into faith. And it was so real and so wonderful. We're close, my brother and I, but perhaps superficially, as we are on opposite sides of religion and politics. And as a result, we never talk about either topic. even though for both of us, they are huge in our lives. I've often regretted that we tiptoe around each other on those important topics, but I'm a conflict avoider, and so I avoid it altogether. But that day, on the telephone, we had a moment where our faith values, as unlikely as it is, aligned, and we met in the middle of the bridge. Our conversation began with an easy task: solve a problem. We're good at that. But then, suddenly, we're in the water of faith. Our sister-in-law died this summer, leaving my other brother and their 2 adult children without their rescuer. Her passing has been especially life-changing for their 28-year-old son, who, in his short life, has been diagnosed with a variety of serious mental illnesses, substance abuse and gambling addiction. Since a very young age, he has been enrolled in more than 24 treatment programs, but has never finished even one. His mother bailed him out every time it got tough. He didn't finish high school and has never held a job. After her passing, a few days later, he assaulted our brother and is now living in a halfway house treatment program. It is heartbreakingly tragic. Our brother, who is physically disabled, had to file an order for protection for his own safety from his son. My nephew has sent me profane threats via text and voicemail because he falsely believes we are keeping his mother's money from him. It's never been about the loss of his mother. It's always about the money. It's so sad that he's not able to grieve her passing. So during our problem-solving phone conversation, my brother and I were strategizing about the most recent problem with our nephew when I said, "This is all so hard for me to reconcile because my Unitarian Universalist faith challenges me to affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And I keep wondering how to do that with our nephew." My brother, who is politically and religiously very conservative, replied, "My God requires me to love others." His faith comes from the words of God documented by people in the Bible, whereas mine comes from a committee of people putting words on paper. Each of us judges the other's faith. But there it was, the opening for us to find common ground. Together, we realized that affirming our nephew's inherent worth and dignity doesn't mean we can't set boundaries and hold him accountable for his behavior. In fact, that might be the most loving and life-affirming thing we can do. Reach out, touch faith. Reach out, touch faith. Blessed be.
Barbara, that was a very cool story. I'm really grateful for that. And it touched upon where we were at the first hymn with gathering the Spirit. We're trying to gather things when we get together, gathering hearts, gathering spirit, gathering hope, compassion, and strength, as it says in the song. Because we never have quite enough of any of those things, do we? So when we think about the offering, we think that it's money, but it's really gathering the Spirit. It's really gathering hope. It's gathering compassion and strength. Because when we support the institution, we are providing a vessel for hope to come together, for compassion and strength to come together. Every month I donate $300 to VUU as my effort to sustain the vessel, which I think is exactly what we should be doing. Because as I draw from it, I wish to be able to add to it. Our annual pledge campaign will be underway in a few weeks. I want you to start thinking about how your offering is a gathering of spirit, a gathering of hope, a gathering of compassion and strength. I give my $300 a month so that those who are struggling in ways I do not have to can have a little more spirit, a little more hope, a little more compassion and strength. You can too. At whatever level you can click, you can text, you can email, you can phone, you can write, you can knock on the door. But when you gather your spirit, you make it possible for others to have that hope, compassion, and strength that Barbara just showed us as she met her brother in the middle of life. Thank you.
Now is our time for centering. I'd like to cite a reading from one of our gray hymnals, and it's titled, "We Arrive Out of Many Singular Rooms" by Kenneth Patton. We arrive out of many singular rooms, walking over the branching streets. We come to be assured that brothers and sisters surround us to restore their images on our eyes. We enlarge our voices in common speaking and singing, I will add humming. We enlarge our voices in common speaking and singing. We try again that solitude found in the midst of those who with us seek their hidden reckonings. Our eyes reclaim the remembered faces. Their voices stir the surrounding air. The warmth of their hands assures us and the gladness of our spoken names. This is the reason of cities, of homes, of assemblies, and the houses of worship. It is good to be with one another. Let's allow the music of our chalice ringers, our own VUU Bell Choir. This is the premiere of their first performance since meeting in person. They've recorded it together, all in one space, gathering. And the song is titled Sounding Number 5 in C by Derek Hakes. Please allow the beautiful music to center us now this morning.
When I'm with you in Arizona, I see a room, sometimes with people in it, sometimes without people except those I'm sharing the service with. But when I'm away, I see what you virtual attendees see, all these faces I'm looking down at, like Nancy and Rachel and Margaret. And if I stroke left and right, I see all these people that ordinarily would be in the room, but now I get to see you in your homes. And there's something very precious in that, because I see your lives, not just your faces. So look down at your faces, take note of them. And remember that phrase I used at the beginning, how is it with thy soul? Imagine for a moment the souls of all those people you see in their homes, their chairs, where they are in their lives. Of course, you can't know. You can't see, but you know they're there. And there's a mystery in that is precious and holy and good. I think it's appropriate that we don't know very much. Because if we know we knew, or we knew we know, we would get all sorts of arrogant about what we think we could do. But when you know you don't know, you wait a moment. You hesitate, which is good. So to Gary and Mary and Roy and Irene and Diana and Randall, to Elizabeth and Sharon and Joanne and Karen and all those names and faces, the Brendas and the Joyces, the Franks and the Cliffs. I know you have souls and that they are present in my life. And I wish to acknowledge you. Isn't that famous Hindu greeting about acknowledging the divine? I don't have to know it to know it's there. Walt Whitman spoke of letters from God falling into the street, but he never picked them up because he knew others would come. I know you're there. In whatever way it is with your soul, striding or limping, bold or shy, angry or frightened. I know there is something in your soul and that it is holy and good. And I say thank you. Amen.
I
Well, that was fun. I love that kind of creativity that goes into doing such things. So you're looking inside my home as I look inside yours. And yes, right back there, those are pictures of my grandson, but this is not about him. I just wanted you to know he was back there, along with my son and my daughter-in-law and my wife. Touching, reaching out and touch someone. That's a motto, actually a slogan. A long, long ago in a galaxy far away, before cell phones, when telephones were connected to the wall, at least partially, there was something called long distance. That meant when you made a phone call, if it was going a long way, you had to pay more. When I was a kid, we saved long distance for special occasions, after Thanksgiving dinner or when someone was born or if someone died. The telephone company, trying to convince people that long distance wasn't too expensive, mounted a series of telephone commercials to promote them. Now, this is back when there was one telephone company. That was it. And they created a number of television commercials that all ended with the phrase, reach out and touch someone. It's okay to call long distance. And boy, did we ever. Thanks to cell service and competing phone companies and computers and the internet, we can connect with almost anyone on the planet in moments. Back when Facebook was still new, I used Facebook to communicate while traveling overseas. A friend posted his thrill that he was holding a real-time digital conversation with someone he knew in Istanbul. That was me. I sent video from Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe back to Michigan so they could see what I had done that day. And when I was in Taiwan, China, some years ago, I got an urgent phone call that someone I knew was dying, and I talked to her on the phone from my hotel in China. We are reaching out, we are touching, we text, we blog, we vlog, we email, we voicemail, we DM, we IM, we chat, Zoom, Slack, Google Meet, and I don't know how many other things that I don't know about. It is a marvel. And yet this pandemic has taught us that while we have been able to stay in touch, I'm not sure that we feel that we are truly in touch. There is something missing and we know it, and it's important and we know that. Something important about being with a person, the actual person. Now, this is where I turn the corner from musing and thinking to being your preacher. Okay, so just go with me. Because you see, we clergy, we trade a lot in the riddle, the enigma, the mystery of flesh and spirit. This could be the very enigma that is the kernel for philosophy and religion itself. And we religious liberals, we tread on the frontier between those outright materialists who say there are only bodies that talk and various spiritualities that think bodies are trivial and all we are is spirit. Now, I think very few in our community would claim the claim of Christianity summarized in the Gospel of John, that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. That's not us. The doctrine of the incarnation, as it's called, is kind of beyond the UU pale. Few of us would affirm that some deity fashioned us from the dust and blew into our nostrils, as it says in Genesis, or that we were made from clots of blood, the way it says in the Quran. There are other stories too, far too many to mention, and they all deal with the riddle of how it is we are both mind and body. And I dare say no one here would claim any of them to be the story that explains it all. Now, I touched upon this a little a couple of weeks ago in talking about how it is we have or seemingly have free will. Do our brains really decide what our bodies do? We now know, modern people that we are, that our conscious brains aren't running the whole show. Emotions are often responses to stimuli, and then our emotions affect our thoughts. Those emotions send out hormones that affect our bodies and our brains. Conversely, we all have thoughts that arouse our emotions, and then these raise our blood pressure or even our heartbeats and make us shiver without any real reason. The mind and the body they're interconnected. Sometimes scientists even say that the teeming biome in our gut is like a second brain because it affects the nervous system so much. Whatever the connection, mind and body are connected, interconnected, probably inseparable. Now that departs from our religious history, which was always rooted in the cognitive, the intellectual, the abstract. But within our movement, there has been a growing realization that the body is important spiritually. It is not separate from the spirit, it is of spiritual value. Embodiment is a word many of my colleagues use, embodiment of faith, embodiment. It can be a cliche. It shows up in the proliferation of spiritual practices that many clergy, and maybe you take part in, whether it's yoga or meditation or some form of Tai Chi or something like that. It shows up in the nature of social justice, because when you think about it, social justice is about what happens to human bodies. Gender justice is about caring for women with the same decency that we care for men, and caring for their bodies and the integrity of their bodies. Race is about what happens to the bodies of people of color, something Ta-Nehisi Coates lifted up in that poignant book, Between the World and Me. Climate change is about our bodies getting too hot, about the earth getting too hot and too wet in some places and too dry in others. Food justice and food issues are about the body. You could say that while we do not speak the incarnational language of Christianity, we are incarnational in saying our values matter not just to our minds, but to our bodies, and not just to our bodies, but to all bodies, that all bodies are incarnations of value. So all those old stories from long ago, the ones that we do not affirm, they may actually be pertinent here because they take seriously the myth and mystery of flesh and spirit. Yes, superstition and dogmatism and fanaticism are bad, dangerous, and harmful. But the mystery of mind and body is not. It's everywhere. There's even a song in that same gray hymnal that says, mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. And that's true. And what has this to do with me being in Michigan, zooming into you in Arizona, and out to all you guys? If what we do is what we value, then being primarily virtual for the last 18 months has taught us something. Well, we can do plenty of things virtually. When it comes to religion, it simply is not enough for us just to think and talk. We need to find ways to touch And while this is not touching in the ultimate sense, it reminds us that we need to be in touch. In touch. At best, we can maintain who we are, but we cannot thrive without seeing, sensing, touching one another. Even though we are gathered like this, no one is seriously suggesting we should sell the building and just get together online, and that's it. If we are to be true to our values, we can never be merely virtual. We cannot be fully human on a screen or in an email or even in a video that's very well produced. That is a denial of the preciousness of the body as a meaningful experience and of value to our spirit. But I want to say the opposite is also a risk. We have to be careful of the other, of lifting up bodies at the expense of the spirit. Religions have always been about more than the immediate and more than the physical. Before the internet, there were TV preachers, and before them there were radio preachers, and before them churches published sermons and tracts. Many a pastor communicated by letter when they couldn't be there in person. Let's remember that the powerful letters of Paul that shaped and created Christianity were really actually letters, a way to be present at a distance. But we have to remember that those efforts, no matter how authentic and genuine and important they are, don't exist without bodies. Spirits without bodies do not exist. I categorically say that Unitarian Universalism says there are no spirits without bodies. However you personally may believe, it's not true. Unlike the Cowardly Lion, we do not believe in spooks. Our own great scholar, James Luther Adams, of whom I will speak in a week or two, says that a purely spiritual religion, only of the mind, is a purely spurious religion. But neither do bodies exist without spirits, without minds. Now we call them zombies, and I don't care if there is or isn't a zombie apocalypse. To be alive, to be human, is to be caught in the mystery of mind and body, and there's no way to make it go away. So what I'm trying to say is that there's no solving this question of minds and bodies. All religion is the serious study of this enigma. And you might say that all congregations exist as a way of keeping body and soul together. Who remembers that phrase when they were younger? Sometimes an older relative might say, I'm just trying to keep body and soul together, to say that they're just trying to stay alive. But I think there's something deeper to that. We are all trying to put body and soul together, to unite the inner and outer person, to bring them into integrity. And integrity is a key UU virtue, isn't it? That our values and our words and our actions be one. Now, one reason I was never a famous preacher, and I never will be, is that I have no gift for practical preaching, the kind that solves problems. People love sermons that are about the 7 steps to this or that, or the ways to win your soul, or the way to be successful, whatever that is. I'm not about prosperity. Never have been. We Americans are practical people, though, and we don't like to talk about why. We just want to know how to get rich, not whether, how to be successful, not whether. But you see, I'm always asking those questions. I can't stop asking them, and probably that annoys a lot of people. But these are real issues. They are the underlying questions. So I'm making life harder, not easier, messier, not simpler. And that includes you. So I'm not going to give you any practical advice about how to be virtual and how to be actual at the same time, because I'm not interested in solving this problem. More than once, perhaps too often, I have cited that famous advice from the great German poet Rainer Maria Rilke, who, answering a letter from a young poet, said, "Be patient with all that is in your heart and try to love the questions themselves." The mind and body are an eternal question, and they cannot be solved And it's hard. Mind you, he does say, try to love the questions. Last year, as I was coming to you, I was reading a book by Susan Beaumont, How to Lead When You Don't Know Where You're Going. I told you about it a year ago. And she talks about liminal times when you don't know where you're going. But we live in a liminal space all the time as a congregation, trying to grasp mind and body, truth and falsehood, right and wrong. And the urge to solve a problem is very powerful, but it's not always the right thing to do. There is no question that you're going to be virtual and actual from now on, no matter what. That's going to happen. The technology allows it. You're going to get better and better at it. You're going to do it in this space on Sundays. You're going to do it in other events. We're thinking about equipment that would allow other meetings to be both physical and actual. And we're going to be better at it because you have no choice. It's how the world will be. Even when the pandemic is over, welcome to this reality. There is no doubt that this will change you in ways beyond accommodating needs and desires. It will challenge your previous notions of belonging, for example. Must one be on site to be part of VUU? Manifestly not. But what about membership? If you have to sign a book, does that mean you have to come to the building to belong? Is membership a significant category anymore? What does it mean to belong? All of the nuns and the spiritual but not religious are out there, and for them, the institutions that we have maintained may not meet them where they live, both in spirit and body. These are the questions that cannot be settled by a sermon or a program or a questionnaire. What this means to the body and soul of VUU is therefore fundamental, at root, essentially spiritual, but spiritual about the physical, the meaning of bodies and minds. And thus it is one of those questions that, like Rilke, you must try to love, not just solve. Because until you can love the question, until you can be engaged in it and think about it and want it to drive you, all it is annoying. Because the depth and complexity that is out in the future is to be waited upon, to be discerned, which is what Susan Beaumont says we need to do now. Not decide, discern. That's hard. It means waiting. It means listening. It means failing. It means trying. It means stumbling. In some ways, it is a crisis of identity, not just for us, but for all religious communities who have depended upon certain norms to be in place. Buildings, members, budgets, boards. Yes, they may still exist, but they may not look the same in the future. And we have no idea what they're going to look like. In some respect, I can help you, though. I want you to consider that the question is not who are you, but whose are you? This is a question put to me by one of the Black preachers I met when I was a young preacher. To whom, to what are you accountable? Is it the members of the church? Is it to Unitarian Universalism, the UUA, to Chandler, to Arizona, to the world, to God? These are questions that help you sit with the question. This may not be uppermost now, this question, whose are you? But it's back there. And as we improvise and compromise and think and feel and talk and listen, it will become evident over time. It will become evident more in the spring when you choose your next spiritual leader. It will become unavoidable as you decide about whether to expand your building and how. It will become insistent as the issues of the world press upon you as a community and force a response to enduring racism, encroaching climate change, threats to democracy. Whose are you? Who are you? How would I know? Body and soul. That's what religion is about and always has been. Literally, the word religion comes from a word in Latin, ligare, to bind together. Very few congregations know deeply what binds them together, know how it goes with their soul, because few have the patience and the courage to love the question before answering it. I pray that you can and will, that you will dwell in the questions, that you will let those questions change you so that you can change them and make them part of your future. I will tell you this, that if you have that patience and that courage, the movement in the world that you serve will be enriched by your presence. And I believe that is a mission worth going on. Thank you for your time this morning. I wish I could be with you in person, in the flesh, but I am with you today. Katie, could you help us conclude our time of worship by leading us toward our third hymn?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Reverend Fred. I propose, as we ponder the mystery between mind and body, the mystery of gathering together in spirit, both online and in person, that we let it be a dance. It is a dance, another dance, with new choreography, some that we are planning as we attract and look for a new minister, some that is happening organically as we learn new technologies, new ways to fist bump and bump our elbows together, embrace and hug, or to share over Zoom the personal belongings in our living room, such as pictures of our grandchildren. Let it be a dance. Join with me singing or humming in our closing hymn.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dazzling song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow with the wind, let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance.
These words are the original source from which that quote from Rilke came, and they're a great way to end our service. Have patience with everything that remains unsolved in your heart. Try to love the questions themselves. Do not look for the answers. They cannot be given to you because you cannot live them. You need to live the question. Perhaps then you will gradually, without even noticing it, find yourself experiencing the answer. So let us live the questions, not just ask them. Let us love the questions, not just solve them. And let us remind ourselves that we are always present, even when the chalice isn't burning. So, Barbara, help us extinguish the chalice, but not our spirits.
Please join me in saying our extinguishing the chalice blessing. Though we extinguish the chalice, our connection to each other and this community remains. May its light guide us this week as we walk the path of justice, speak words of love, and fill our world with compassion until we meet again. And now we have the pleasure of having an actual live postlude by Linda. And after the postlude, the breakout session prompt will appear. If you want to stay and chat with Reverend Wooden, just decline the chat invitation. Thank you so much for joining us today. Happy week. Okay, now you can go.
So Libby, unmute everybody, okay? We're waiting for the tech people to unmute all you lovely folks.
I didn't realize how good you are.
Everyone can unmute now.
And the
Great, thank you.
volume changing and it was like, wow.
Well, thank
But
you.
Libby, I want you to mute your microphone, Libby.
No, he has not. What's the second one he's left somewhere?
I looked under.
Everyone is able to unmute now.
Yes, but mute yourself because we can hear everyone in the room.
Welcome, thank you.
Thank you, Libby.
That's what happens when he's overwhelmed, just losing stuff, forgetting things.
Oh.
Hey Nancy, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm up right above ground, waiting for my son and daughter-in-law and grandson to come over and visit with us.
And you said the weather's been raining?
Today, yes. We had an absolute frog choker early this morning.
Frog choker. You know, we haven't had one of those for a while.
Yeah, well, they're not welcome because they don't stick around. They just wash everything away.
Yeah.
But I remember that we did have a fair amount of rain when I've been there for the last month or more. And it sure looks a lot greener in Arizona than it has for a long time.
Oh, it has, yes. We don't hardly believe it's the same place.
Yeah, well, it's about time if you don't mean.
Yeah.
Hi, Terry. I see you way over in the corner. There's Terry Guest way over there. And Angela and Ella are rolling around and having a great time. And Joanne, maybe we could turn on your video so we can wave at you and know you can see us.
Hi,
And then-
Melissa.
Oh, there's Melissa.
I was in a room all by myself and it was no fun.
No
No
fun
fun
by
at
yourself.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I listen to myself talk enough, so
Yeah.
I thought
I
I'd
wanna
be
see-
here.
You know how to find a crowd.
Yeah.
In here.
I'm here.
Yeah.
And I want to say thanks to Katie, who did a really top-notch job today. It was really good to see you in that space.
Yeah.
Yes. Is she
She
here?
may not be paying attention at the moment, but it
think she
says
is.
she.
Yeah. It was great. Thanks for the message, Fred. Always
Thank you, Melissa.
Thought it was
Like I
wonderful.
said, I'm not good at these 5 tips to being a good friend kind of thing. I have no idea.
Well,
And
I'm
you can make,
glad.
oh, well, they
Those
don't
very trite.
pack in, it doesn't pack in the crowds, let me tell you.
Well, those can be very trite though. And
I know, but it's what, well, it's, we live in someone call it the retail industrial complex. Everything is, you pick this, do that, buy that. I can't do that. It's just not what I do.
It's like a memo with bullet points.
Oh, yeah.
I need more than that.
5 tips to being a good friend. I tell people I don't simplify anything. I complicate everything.
I'm glad.
Oh, well.
Those are very
Someone else in the background there. How is Terry? She's not going to say hello to us. She's just going to sit there with her arms folded. I hope you're okay, Terry. It's good to see your face off at the distance. Retail